we're doing shoulder stands. I know that sounds a little frightening, but we're gonna do it supported, and we're taking it slow, and it'll be safe. It's known as like the queen of yoga poses, so that's what we're doing today. We're doing the queen of yoga poses. So let's go ahead and get started in Sukhasana. So sitting position, and then go ahead and sit up as tall as you can. If you want, you could go against your wall if that'll make you feel more comfortable, sitting up as tall as you can, placing your hands wherever you would like, and go ahead and start to take in some deep breaths through your nose. And then exhaling through your mouth. And as you begin to feel more calm, you can allow your eyes to gently close. And all your muscles to relax. Try to stay focused on your breath, not letting any other thought cloud your mind. One last breath here, coming into the present. And then we'll gently open our eyes once again. Alright, so we're going to start off in a seated position, but we're going to go a little bit, we're going to do a little deeper position. So we're just basically taking our right leg, and if it's comfortable, bringing it close to this left groin area, or you could stay in Sukhasana either way. But once you're there, try not to lean forward, trying to sit up as tall as possible. And we're just going to start by taking one hand up. So we're going to focus on externally rotating this part of our hand, of our arm, and we're internally rotating this part of our arm. So it's a little tricky, but once we have got that, our palms should be facing towards our inner body, and our fingers, each of them are going to be stretching up with lots of energy. So our entire arm is working here, and we're going to make sure that we're relaxing the shoulder. We're allowing it to roll back into its socket, but we're also elongating at the same time. So there's a lot of opposite actions going on here, so it's really important to stay focused. Alright, so from there, once we've gotten this arm, we're going to go with our left arm. We're going to do the exact same thing, inhaling, bringing that left arm up, and we're just going to start externally rotating this part of our arm, and then internally rotating our forearm here. And our palms are going to be facing each other, making sure that our shoulders are dropping back in their sockets. And each of our fingers, all 10 of them, are reaching towards the ceiling. And we're going to pretend that we're holding something in between our hands. So if we were holding something with a little bit of weight, we're obviously going to feel a little bit more, we're obviously going to need more energy in our hands, right? So we're going to pretend like you're holding something and you're pushing like the air together. So you're really using all your muscles in your arms. Alright, so then we're just going to allow our right arm to drop to our back, and we're just going to bring the left arm to our right elbow and just stretching this muscle here. Continuing to sit up as tall as possible, but feeling a really nice stretch in our arm. And then we'll release, bringing our hands back up, pretending like we're holding that box, and we'll go right into our left side, bringing the left arm down and our right arm to the left elbow. Remembering to drop our shoulders down. And continuing to keep a steady rhythm of breath. Release. We're going to do one last stretch here. We're going to bring our hands together with the palms touching each other, and we're going to allow our hands to just drop back. So we're feeling a nice stretch in that same area we felt beforehand. And then we'll release. Alright, so from there, we're going to come all the way down, roll out your shoulders a little bit, and we're going to switch our legs, taking the left foot to our right inner groin. Alright, so from there, we're just going to begin, go right into a side stretch. We want to bring as much extension throughout this torso area. So we're just going to bring our left arm down, and we're just stretching this right side. And then we'll release, coming back to neutral, holding that box again, and we'll go into our left side. So the idea is to get as much space in the left side of our body. So that means really stretching up as well, and not just to the side. And we'll come back to neutral. And we'll do one last deltoid stretch. So we're basically bringing our right arm into our left elbow. And as we pull with our left elbow, we're getting a stretch in our right, I believe, deltoid. left arm is straight and our right arm is bent. Release and roll out our shoulders, once again allowing them to really sink down into their sockets. Allow gravity to just let them drift down, and we'll come into sitting. Okay, so we're doing a little peak pose, kind of like mountain, and so we're building our way up to that shoulder stand, right? So we kind of warmed up our shoulders, and we brought a lot of energy to our upper body. And so with this next little set before we reach shoulder stand, what we're trying to focus on is our shoulders and our neck. So I know a lot of us don't really tend to focus on our neck while we're doing like poses, but today's focus is definitely going to be on our shoulders and our neck. So every pose we're doing, I want you to really focus on what your neck is doing. We tend to kind of compress our neck, but we want to make sure that it's as tall as possible, as if like someone was pulling our head, and we're trying to sit up and be as tall as we can, and also focus on where your shoulders are. So I'll be reminding, but within each pose, if we're like upside down for one, like in dog pose, or if we're standing up, just notice where your shoulder and your neck is. All right. And so during shoulder stand, the idea is to not compress those two areas, because that'll obviously hurt and it'll lead to injury. So if we practice it with every pose leading up to shoulder stand, we won't have a problem. Okay. So that being said, let's go ahead and do dog pose. We're gonna do dog pose, and then we're gonna go into warrior one. So that's a little heads up. But we are focusing on our shoulders and our neck. So while we're in table, notice where they are right now. Usually we're trying to find that line of center, and we don't really focus too much on our neck and our shoulders, but realize where they are, become aware of them. And then we'll go ahead and tuck our toes under, and we'll go ahead and lift our hips up and back into downward facing dog. And allow your shoulders to drop back. We're in a difficult position, but still allowing them to relax and drop back into their sockets as we allow our neck to really elongate and go towards the floor. All right, and then from there, we'll go ahead and lift our right leg into the air, and then it'll come into our chest and in between our hands, and then we're going to turn our left leg out a tad bit so that our left toes are pointing the left side of our mat. And then once you've gained your balance, and you may need to adjust yourself, we're going to come all the way up on an inhale, breathing in through your nose, and we're in warrior one. So while we're here, not only paying attention to your shoulder and your neck, but also paying attention to that box that we're holding, paying attention to all the arm muscles we're using, becoming aware of them, and continuously breathing as well. all the way back down to the floor. And we'll bring our right leg back into downward facing dog. Take a moment here to feel the difference between our right side and our left side. And then we'll go ahead and lift our left leg into the air. And it's going to come into our chest and in between our hands. And from there, turning the right leg, right foot out, so it's facing, so the toes are facing the right side of the mat. And when you're ready, gaining your balance and stability to come up on an inhale, bringing your hands up as well. Reminding yourself to become aware of where your upper body parts are. And then we'll come all the way back down to the floor. And we'll go back into downward facing dog. And then we'll bring our knees down to the floor. We'll go right into child's pose here. Resting. But still, as we're resting, becoming aware of our shoulders and our neck. Take one last breath here. And then we'll come all the way back up. And then we're just gonna stay in this table and we're gonna do another stretch for our shoulder. I'll quickly preview it, but basically we're threading the needle. I think a lot of yoga teachers use that term. So we're bringing our hand all the way up, twisting our body, and then we'll bring our arm underneath our left arm. And so it's your choice if you want to go all the way down or just stay up here. Depending on which stance you take, you might get a shoulder stretch in your left if you're up here, versus if you're down here, you're getting more in your right arm. So that's a choice that you can make. But we're gonna start off in table, remembering to become aware of where our neck and our shoulders are. And we'll take a deep breath in and take our right arm all the way up, extending it up to the ceiling as we twist. And then we're just going to bring that right arm down to the floor underneath our left arm. all the way up, back to neutral. Feel the difference between our right and our left side. And then we'll do our left side. So we'll take our left arm up on our inhale, twisting towards the left side. And then we'll come all the way down to the floor with our left arm underneath our right. And then we'll come all the way back to neutral. And we'll release. Alright, so from there, we're just going to do one back bend, and then we're going to move into some poses that'll kind of stimulate that same feeling of shoulder stand. So we're just gonna, before that, we're gonna do cobra pose. So we'll start off, we'll do it a little bit different than how we usually do. So we're gonna start off in child's pose, and then we'll come forward from that onto our belly, and we'll come up like that. And it's a little bit of a different feeling we'll get if we come from child's pose. So let's go ahead and start off in child's pose. And like I said earlier, especially with cobra, we want to figure out, we want to become aware of our neck especially, and our shoulders as well. So keep in mind that they both should be nice and relaxed. We're not throwing our head back. Alright, so when you're ready, we're going to exhale and come onto the floor, and we're going to inhale and press our hands into the floor and come up into cobra. So notice if your shoulders are close to your ears, allow your shoulders to drop down, and your neck to be nice and long. And then we'll come all the way back down onto the floor. Alright. Okay, so now we're getting pretty close to shoulder stand. So we're going to start to kind of simulate that same feeling of shoulder stand without actually being in the pose. So we're going to do a bridge, and from the bridge we're going to do something a little bit different. So basically we'll start off in bridge pose. I'll quickly demo, by the way. So we're taking, as we push into the floor with our feet, we're taking one vertebrae off the floor at a time, and we'll come onto our shoulders. And so we'll stay in this bridge pose for a bit, and then we'll come down, and then we'll go into the bridge pose once again. But this time, and my hands are on the floor, by the way, this time we're going to take one leg into the air. So it's a little bit of like a workout for your quads. We won't stay there for too long, but the idea is to not let your right hip dip. So it's easy to come up here and kind of like let it dip, but we want to stay in that same position as we were before with both legs on the floor. So we won't stay here for too long, but then we'll come down and then we'll do the left side. All right, so we'll go a lot slower than that, but let's go ahead and lay ourselves down onto the floor. And so this also, we need to be focusing on our neck very importantly, and the weight will be on our shoulders. So pay attention to if you're feeling any kind of stress or strain or pain or anything like that, and come down if you need to. But really trying to keep everything active and working, but at the same time, we're not trying to cause it any stress or tension. So there's a difference between working and tension, and try to find, make sure that it's working. Okay. All right, so we're gonna come up one vertebrae at a time, and that means gradually coming up, there's no rush. Pushing our feet into the floor to come up. And make sure, super important, to keep your head facing forward or looking towards the ceiling. Don't try to look at the computer. Don't twist your head or like your neck. And then we're going to come all the way back down, one vertebrae at a time, same as we came up. All right. So go ahead and take one deep breath. And then just continue to listen to my instructions. Audio, don't try to look too much. And we're going to come up and do the one leg at a time. So going up gradually, one vertebrae at a time. And when you're ready, when you're feeling stable, go ahead and take the right leg into the air. It doesn't have to be straight. Using your glutes and your quads. And then we'll bring that leg onto the floor, and we'll come all the way back down onto the floor. Allow yourself to ease up. And then before we go into our other side, I know it's like a tough pose, but try to really be focusing on what your neck especially is doing while you're in like a position of stress. Try to keep it nice and long. When we get stressed, we tend to kind of do things with our neck and it compresses, but really keep it long. Try to focus on that. All right, so we'll begin taking one vertebrae up at a time, using our feet to come up. And then when you're ready, taking the left leg up. Keeping your hips squared and focusing on your neck. And then we'll come all the way back down onto the floor. And then we'll just rest for just a breath. And then we'll come onto our right side and come all the way up. All right, so it's the time, and we're at our peak right now. We're about to go into shoulder stand, because this is like a high risk pose, but don't be scared by that. But there's a lot of things that I have to say before we go into it, and so one of them being you don't have to go into it. Just because you're doing this sequence and you've done all like the steps to the pose doesn't mean you have to do that pose. I'm going to give you a lot of variations, so feel free to just stay in one of them. And then also, really, while we're in the pose, don't try to look around. So we are going to need a blanket and a wall for this. So the blanket is very important because it's going to lower the pressure on your neck. So there's whole area here, I believe your cervix spine. All these vertebrae here is where the pressure is going to be when we're doing shoulder stands. So this blanket is going to help it a lot more. So it's very important, and I really want to emphasize that. So having a blanket there for you. And so because this is shoulder stand, we are going to be on our shoulders. Obviously, you are going to feel some kind of pressure, but that doesn't mean pain. So there's a difference between pain and pressure. You're just going to feel like a little bit of weight because your body's weight will be on your shoulders. And we're going to go slowly into it. I feel like I'm making it sound scary. It's really not. So how we're going to go into this is basically we're using the wall, so it'll be a lot easier. I'm going to move my mat like this. So I'm starting off with this blanket a little bit, like a good distance from the wall. And so basically you might have to adjust this a couple of times, but we're placing the blanket so that our shoulders are going to be on this blanket, but our neck and our head is not going to be on the blanket. So we're basically elevating our shoulders to take a little bit of the pressure off of our neck. I'm going to sit pretty close to the wall. I'm sitting very close to the wall with my left, but very close to the wall, and I'm swinging my legs up. So I'm basically trying to get my butt as close as I can to the wall, and from there I'm just adjusting my blanket so that my shoulders are on the blanket but my neck is not. My neck and head is not on the blanket. Alright, so from there basically what I'm doing is I'm taking my legs are going to bend and I'm pushing into the wall so that my entire body is coming off the floor. So the idea is that you push into the wall, and you're going to have to walk your feet up the wall so that it's comfortable. And the idea is to have a perpendicular body to the floor. So this is basically this part of my body is in the pose, except for my legs. So once we're here, basically, if you want to, you can take your right leg up, and you can't see that, but I'm taking my right leg up, and then from there, you can take both legs up into the air. All right, so if you would like to, once you've come up off the wall, you can take one leg to the floor and then both legs to the floor so that you're in halasana, flow pose, or you could stay in one pose. So we're just going to start, we're going to come onto our back and we're going to do a twist on the floor. And so we'll start with our knees bent. but we're actually going to end up taking our legs up, and our entire leg, which is straightened out, is going to twist towards the right side. So try to keep your shoulder, your left shoulder on the floor. And if you would like, you can hold your toes with your right hand. Allow yourself to relax here, and then we'll inhale and we'll bring our legs back up, and we're going to exhale and take our legs to the left. And then we'll come all the way back to neutral, and we'll bring our legs to the floor. We'll go ahead and just extend out our legs, and our arms can come up overhead. And just try to stretch your body as long as you can, extending your legs, both of them. Try to make them as long as you can, extending your arms, making your arms as long as you can, and stretching your entire body from your fingertips to your toes. And then go ahead and let everything release. And if you would like, you can come into Supta Baddha Konasana, bringing your palms of your feet together, or you could stay there. We'll just take a couple of breaths here for Shavasana. There's no need to activate your body anymore. You can let everything release, keeping your mind in the present. And activate it. Allow yourself to feel gravity and feel the weight of your body just sink into the floor and relax. one last breath here, making it a very deep one. Treating your body with air. And then bending your knees, rolling to your right side, and coming all the way. So we'll bring our hands to our chest, bow our head, and just thank ourselves. Namaste.